H-Town with KRBE's Freddie Cruz.
Crime Stoppers has been fighting on the front lines against bullying since 1997, and here to talk about it, please welcome back to the show, Rania Mankarious.
Thank you. Hi, Freddie. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. So, first off, for context, let's define bullying, because we all know what it is, but just for the purposes of this conversation, what is it?
Well, we think we know what it is, but it's not conflict. It's actually abuse. It is where one person has the power over another, and we don't mean physical power necessarily, but emotional power, the power to sway other people to behave a certain way, and they use it against somebody that doesn't have that same power, and it's continual. It happens over and over and over again. It's almost chronic. And it has horrible effects for the person being abused. And
you talk about conflict. You're talking like maybe a random, hey, he pushed me, I pushed him back, we got into a fight, and that was it.
That was it. We're not talking about, a game where you disagree or two people that may not get, like each other. It's methodical. It's strategic. It's happening over and over again. Somebody has identified a quote-unquote victim, a target that they continually abuse. And it's not necessarily physical. It's emotional, it's psychological, it's through words, it's through posts, because now our kids live online. And so we have the whole world of cyberbullying, and it's happening so much. And it's really hard as a parent. And as, Crime Stoppers of Houston, it's a big thing for us. We want to target it. We want to tackle it. We want to get people talking about it.
And I see stories of people getting bullied online, and I think to myself, one, that is so sad. And two, thank God I didn't go to school and there was Facebook when I was in school, because I shudder to think what it would be like with the amount of pressure these kids are under, even as young as elementary school age, because they have the phones too.
Yeah. And it's not even Facebook. It's, it's Snapchat, it's Instagram, it's
Kick.
It's all of these social media platforms. It doesn't end. And, back in the day when we went to school, you could have some conflict with somebody at school, and then you went home and you were in peace and you were with your family, or you were with the friends you care to be with. But now it's crossed all barriers. Home isn't safe. School isn't safe. The playground's not safe. Your place of worship, the park, it infiltrates everywhere, especially the social media use. And, we see the numbers. 90% of kids say that they have seen somebody else get bullied online. 52% of kids say that they have been a victim of online bullying. And we know that these numbers are actually underreported. 64% of kids say they don't even report whether bullying face-to-face or online. So it is a huge problem.
How is Crime Stoppers working with schools in the area through the Safe School program?
It's really, really, really important to us that we have important conversations about this. One, that the parents recognize what bullying is. They know how to identify it, they know how to deal with it, and they know how to raise their kids so they don't participate in it. We need to talk to kids in school about what bullying is, what the consequences are, why they should not be a bully. We have to raise our kids to be socially responsible and to care about their community and to care about each other. And then we want to make sure the schools as a unit, that they have a response in place, that they don't just think, well, kids are kids and that's life and it's no big deal. It's actually a huge problem. And we know that kids have substantial negative effects when they're being victims of bullying. So, anxiety and depression and maybe suicidal thoughts or suicidal attempts. So we have to stop and take it seriously.
And one of the stats that I saw here is that 60% of bullies end up committing crimes when they're grown up. That's astounding.
Yeah, and 72% of active shooters had been bullied prior to the shooting.
Had been the bullied.
They had been bullied prior to the shooting. So it is not something that we can ignore. It's not something that kids in and of themselves have the emotional maturity to resolve. Parents have to get involved. The school has to get involved. Communities, whatever that community looks like for that school or those kids, they all have to participate in stopping bullying.
We're talking about bullying with Rania Mankarious from Crime Stoppers. The website for all the info and resources, crime-stoppers.org. Now, for parents, because I think some kids, especially maybe even the teenagers, because they're older, they might be ashamed to admit that they're being bullied because they don't want to be perceived as being the fraidy cat or being cowardly. So what would you tell a parent would be the signs outside of the physical signs? What are some of the signs they need to look for to see if their kid is being bullied?
Well, I'll tell you, even before we talk about the signs, I'll say parents, no matter how old your child is, preschool, it doesn't matter. Start talking about bullying. What does a bully look like? Why we shouldn't be a bully? And how you need to speak up if you're a victim of bullying. But what you're going to see in your kids is that they're going to become socially isolated. They may have wanted to stay after school or go to the school social. Now all of a sudden they don't want to do that. They're going to withdraw from you. You're going to see their grades suffer. You will see them almost become introverts. You'll see them kind of shrink and not feel as comfortable and safe in their surroundings and in their skin. And I think all parents, I have a second grader who said, Mom, I'm being bullied. And I said, okay, well, let's work through this together. And I could tell, I talked and talked and we talked and talked, but I could tell in her personality that she wasn't making it up. She was showing all the signs. She was becoming anxious. Her stomach hurt. She didn't want to go. It has a real effect, and parents have to be in tune with what those effects are. They may vary per child, but just be in tune to your kid and what those effects might be.
And after learning that your kid is being bullied, what do you recommend the parents do?
Oh my gosh. I don't know any parent that might be like, well, my kid can handle it. I don't know what to say about that. From my perspective, parents have to be involved,
Sure.
And it's going to look different for every family. You might want to sit there and give your child the tools to handle it, on their own, but you need to be on top of it to make sure that progress is being made. Other parents might want to get in there and talk to the school counselor, talk to the school principal, talk to the teachers. You don't want to embarrass your child.
Right. I was going to say, because it seems to me that it would be a lot easier to get involved with the school for a younger kid, maybe even middle school, but once you start getting into high school territory and they're getting to be the grown-up independent age.
Yes, and you want them to be independent. But at the
Right.
same time, when you hear numbers, they're 2 times more likely to have suicidal thoughts or 3 times more likely to actually commit suicide because the abuse is so much worse. And they're at that age in middle school or high school where they can't see beyond school. They can't see
Right.
beyond the abuse. You have to take an active role. I told my second grader, I said, I won't do anything that embarrasses you. Tell me everything that's going on, and then I will handle it together. Let's create a plan together. You can do that with a middle schooler. You can do that with a high schooler. I am not going to embarrass you, but what can we do together? I can talk to a school counselor. No one even has to know, or a principal, or I can call the other parent. We can figure out a solution where no one has to be embarrassed. But at the end of the day, regardless of your age, please don't feel like you have to hide it. Please don't feel like there isn't someone you can tell. There's always somebody to tell, and that should be able to help you.
I mean, there are, after all, 5+ million people
I know.
in Houston. You're not
There
alone.
is somebody to talk to, and you
Right.
have to talk to somebody. I mean, it's unbelievable pressure for these kids.
And what advice do you have for educators?
They have to take it seriously. I think it's safe to say even a few years ago, it was a nuisance. It was, come on, kids are kids. People, this is going to happen. But bullying, the definition of it has been defined and it has changed. And we know that it is a chronic behavior. We know that it is not just, again, conflict, a one-off of conflict. So they have to stop. There has to be a bullying program, and state statutes mandate that. There has to be an anti-bullying program. They have to have a community-wide approach, a school-wide culture of anti-bullying, that they say, this is our school, this is what we believe, these are the consequences for bullying, and these are the resources and the references for you as a student if you feel that you're bullied.
Rania Mankarious from Crime Stoppers, crime-stoppers.org for all the info and resources. Lots of fantastic info there on the website. Thank you so much for coming by around H-Town.
Thank you.